Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the August meeting of the Public Art and Cultural Commission. I'm Chair Pete Perez. The Public Art and Culture Commission, originally called Public Art Board, was established by the Asheville City Council in the year 2000. This 9-member commission serves as an advisory board to the city on matters concerning art and public spaces. The commission is responsible for promoting public art in the city, overseeing the city's public art projects, and ensuring that art displays in public buildings and public spaces in the city of Asheville are properly maintained. All the committee members and staff are participating in person. If anybody on the commission has a response, please speak into your mic so that we can hear you. So the first order of business is the draft minutes, and this is from 2 meetings ago that we're looking at the draft minutes since we were on site at S&W the last time we met. So has everybody had a chance to look at those, and are there any changes or modifications? Okay.
I'll motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Second is going to be an update with John. And John, we were thinking with the rally lately that you've been awfully busy, so tied up with that. So I hope that went well for you. So you're going to give us an events update, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and just a quick note, our next regular meeting is going to be September 19th at 4 p.m. in this room. I'm going to be out of town, but Steph will be staffing that. Let me confirm that. I worked that out with her, so that's a little update for you.
Thank you,
for
Carla.
next month. And then, yes, John.
Hello, I'm John Philman with the Community and Regional Entertainment Facilities Department, and every year we get to about the springtime where people are looking forward to the following year. So we have to ask for dates and start working on our calendar. So we send a call for dates out to the community and ask them to give us any dates they're interested in reserving in advance, along with a proposal about the event. We take some time to go through and try to make sure that the spaces are used to the highest and best standards. And when we have issues where we resolve 2 conflicting events looking for the same date and location, it takes some time to work through that. So we did use our tool that we created recently to come down to a decision between Goombay and the Symphony this time. And Goombay was the selected group that got the date that they looked for, and the Symphony just confirmed that they'll be on Labor Day weekend next year. So these are the slides here with everything kind of compiled in a way that makes sense better than that long list that you got with your attachments. So here we go with January and February. These events look very similar to what we've had in previous years. Nothing new on these slides. January and February are some of our slowest months of the year. So we're always looking for new things to do outside in the winter months, but right now that's what we've got for January and February. So beginning in March, we start getting a little busier. We've got our Mardi Gras parade. That changes a little bit every year, the date of that. This time, it does not conflict with any of the existing events going on downtown, which is great. We have SoCon Downtown Dribble, the Asheville Marathon, Pie Run, Get Your Rear in Gear. These are all events we've had in the past. We have a couple new events in April. Asheville Feast has been requested by the same organizers that do Asheville Fest. So that just completed recently, and Asheville Feast is a culinary arts version of an Asheville Fest where they're looking to use Pack Square Park as a hub for that type of activity. We also have a sunrise service proposed by the people that do Praise in the Park at Pack Square Park's Green, and the other events we've had in previous years. The Ville-to-Ville Relay is fun. That's our only relay race that goes from Asheville to Greenville, South Carolina. In May, we start getting a little busier. This is where we start seeing Splashville reservations. So we try to keep Splashville reserved 1 weekend a month for the community to enjoy without there being an event in the way. We do our best to get those dates in our calendars every year. I think there's 1 month this coming year that we don't have a Splashville weekend scheduled, but the Shindig on the Green helps keep Splashville open at least till 4 o'clock on 7 Saturdays through the summer. So we've got Chamber Challenge and Asheville City Market. That shows up on every slide, I think, because they run almost the full year. Movies in the Park is a Parks and Recreation product. The Artisan Market happens. We'll see that on multiple slides, that they're looking for most Fridays throughout the year in North Pack Square. The yellow highlighted events, I should have mentioned that previously for this slide here. This is anticipating a transit impact on South Pack Square. So I just highlighted those so we can see which events impact South Pack Square. Hog Creek Hustle was new this year. They're returning next year, so that's good to see they're coming back. And, well, the 4th Annual Memorial Day Weekend Festival of the Arts, they skipped a year, but they're continuing on. In June, we start up the Pritchard Park Cultural and Arts Series, along with the continuing reoccurrence of the Artisan Market. I'm looking for some other highlights here. Flying Squirrel 10 Miler is relatively new. It's not its first year, but they've been doing well, coming back. That's by Just Running is the organization that puts that on. There is the Summer Solstice Dance. That's part of Star Tribe that do several dances in the park every year. And Asheville Spring Fest is a version of Asheville Vegan Fest where they're bringing it back due to its popularity in October. They're trying to do a springtime Vegan Fest and titling it Asheville Spring Fest. So that includes South Pack Square also. July, well, the Independence Day, of course. We're planning to return back to the block, not to the block, I should say, back to the block of the South Slope where we held the block party this year for Independence Day. That will be again next year. Movies in the Park continues on. Grand Fondo, been a long time running event. Love Shine Play Festival, that's been a long time going event. And I think that's everything I can highlight here. If anyone has any questions, please stop me and ask about any of these events. There's a description in the summary that you have about all of them, but I'm pretty familiar with most. August, it looks like more of the same. That's where we got Symphony in the Park landing on that Labor Day weekend next year. And that is our last Splashville reserved weekend that we could accommodate. Because in September, we have pretty much all the weekends now reserved. We have Goombay on 5th through the 7th, and Fall Into Dance is the Asheville Ballet. They do that 2 days. Downtown After 5, Blue Ridge Pride Festival, Oktoberfest Half Marathon and 5K, those are all happening in September. October feels like it's going to be really busy next year, not just from the number of events on the slide, but it just is starting to feel like we're shifting. September was our most popular month, and it still is very popular, but things seem to be shifting more towards October for next year. So we have Oktoberfest, of course, the Artisan Market, Asheville Art in the Park returns for its 3 dates in October. They also do 3 dates in July or June. The lovely Asheville Annual Fall Festival started in Pack Square Park. This year it's happening at Carrier Park due to space availability, but they're returning back to the park next year. The Surreal Circus Arts Festival is a product of Arts to People. They'll be coming back next year, and this year they're expanding onto North Pack Square, and they're planning to do that again next year. Parks and Recreation also has a Scary Movies in the Park planned for the 30th of the month. And Parks and Recreation also does Barktoberfest on the 5th at French Broad River Park. We have a second date hold for the Oktoberfest Half Marathon in November. They are holding that as a rain date. Of course, that November is when our holiday parade happens, the weekend before Thanksgiving. Smoky Mountain Toy Run is planning to come back. They're going to be here this year, and that's a long-running event. Requires a lot of resources and police support, but it's a great event for the kids to get the toys they need for the holidays. And just a few events in September with the City Market and Sock It To Me Santa 5K. So I believe that is everything that we've received the proposals for. We didn't have to say no to anyone other than those that requested multiple dates in hopes that they would get one. And so we landed on those ones. We've had a couple that were fine with Pack Square Park or Pritchard Park. We were able to give them some time in Pack Square Park and some time in Pritchard Park. And so I feel like we've resolved all the concerns that came up through the process. We tried to get this done in July, but because of our schedules, we didn't meet in July. So next year, I plan to come back to this committee earlier than August. We've just asked everybody to wait so we can come back to the committee and make sure that you're aware of this first round. After this point, we're going to be back on our 6-month application window, so the earliest that anyone can submit an inquiry form or an application will be 6 months in advance. And I've already had a meeting about additional events coming up next year. We're going to likely see an application come in at the first opportunity for the return of Hemp Fest. It wouldn't be a full park festival, but it would take place in the green, and that would be on April 19th next year. So hopefully they get their inquiry form in, that they're the first to apply. They're a nonprofit, so they're higher rating on our allocation of public space, and they are able to get the space they're looking for. So we're asking the committee to somewhat adopt, would you say? Or
I don't think that we
Is
need to
there-
adopt
you
them
don't?
necessarily,
Just can say
no. But
this
if there are
sounds
any
okay?
questions or comments, or, you know, if there are like surprises in the submissions that you received, you know, you already kind of analyzed one where we're seeing more events in October as opposed to September, or that, you know, are there certain parks or spaces that you're hoping to see more activation or encouraging events to use just to get them more activated? I think stuff like that would be good discussion. And
yeah, I feel like the greater Gene Webb Park expansion, when the River Arts District and the Rad Tip project was completed, that we could accommodate more events down in that area. We need some additional infrastructure down there to support events, like power and water would be helpful. That makes it challenging, but that would be an area that I feel like the city could enhance and activate more frequently if we could promote that more. There's also some parking challenges with most of our other parks than Pack Square Park. So when you're not downtown, you don't have access to the parking garages for parking, so we're limited. Carrier Park has about 250 parking spaces. We have an event coming up with Mission Hospital and Asheville Radio Group. That's going to be, I think it may be on our schedule, the Show Love Fest, or maybe it's in September, and that doesn't go all the way through. But the park that I think could be possibly built to accommodate more events would be that greater Gene Webb Park section. I think that we're pretty full on our peak windows at Pack Square Park, and we could use a little bit more programming in Pritchard Park, but those are both our downtown parks. The other regional parks, they're just going to get smaller events because of the parking challenges to get there. And there's not transit service to all of the parks, so it doesn't make sense to host an event where you can't really get people safely parked, or where it interrupts neighborhoods and things like that.
Any other questions, comments for John?
No? Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks
It sounds
for
like
sharing.
overall, no, it got reinforced, the process that was put in place, what I hear from you.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Everything went smoothly for this time. You know, I wish the symphony could have landed on their ideal date. You know, that was the one that we had, but the tool that we created was helpful in coming up with that decision, which one got the better score, and that was the Goombay Festival again.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you.
So the next item we had is an update on the boards and commission summer leadership summit. So there was a summit that Carly and I and some of the staff went to. Pat was going to go. Unfortunately, she caught COVID and wasn't able to make it. But we wanted to be able to give you an update on what that was, because it's the first time something like this has been done. So they got together all the chairs and vice chairs from all the different groups to be able to pull together and try and create some synergy. Stephanie and some of the people from Land to Sky led it, and it was real informative. They gave us like a deep dive into what are our legal responsibilities, conflict of interest, et cetera. But a lot of the work is around what we can do to create synergy between the commissions. And one of the things that we learned, and I'm going to ask Carly to comment when I'm done, is that a lot of the other commissions are struggling with the same opportunities and issues that we are. So as we sat at each of the tables, they had different people from each of the commissions, and getting into those discussions, it was real clear that there's a lot we can learn from each other, and there was kind of an outcry to say, let's do this twice a year. So Stephanie was going to propose that anyway. We will be doing that twice a year. I just think that's going to give us a better look as to what to do. And Stephanie's talked about it before, and so has Carly, that they want to create some standardization from the commission so that they're not just running in different directions, how we interact with city council, what we do for bylaws, et cetera. So we're going to be working on that. And then the final piece is organization. You all know a while back they were looking at what's the committee, the commission structure, how do we simplify that, what that look like. That's going to be very early on because they're wanting, rather than just impose a structural change, they're wanting to just hear everybody and have us be a part of it, which again, I think is something that's really good, but it's going to be a while to be able to get that done. So overall, I felt really good about it. Carly, anything you'd add?
Yeah, I think you did a good job of summarizing discussion. I think that one of the big things that came out was that we need clear policies and process for certain things like conflict of interest, all the way to the minutia of minute taking. And that's going to make things more efficient for staff in supporting boards and commissions, and then also for boards and commission members to know what to expect, and just make it all a smoother process, I think, so everybody's not doing everything differently. And then you already touched and talked about this, but I think really aligning our work plan and our projects and efforts around council's priorities and strategic priorities is going to give everybody the biggest bang for their time, and that's something that I think has a lot to do with scheduling. Like when we have our annual retreat during the year, I think that all commissions should try to more or less align at the same time, and that should probably happen after we have an idea of what's going to be funded and what council's priorities are going to be for that fiscal year. So, just things like that have sort of not been listed out for us in the past. So I think those were the things that I heard over and over at this summit, and also things that I think are going to be really helpful for us. The Planning and Urban Design Department manages 9 boards and commissions, and the city has a bunch more on top of that. So it's a lot of work, and the more we can align and make things more efficient, the better for everybody.
Thanks, Carly. So the next thing we've got on the agenda is go through the working groups and to give updates. But before I turn it over to Katie, we had a meeting earlier this week that Katie led, and because all these commissions are going to be more generally looking at bylaws and processes like we are, we're going to go ahead and do our work. We'll come back at a later date and get your opinion, but we're going to take our best shot at getting that formulated, and then wait and see what happens with the rest of this so that we don't go astray and do something else with that. So I'll turn over to you, Katie.
So as Pete said, we have a good working draft of the bylaws, but we are going to hold just to see what comes out of this discussion. But one piece that is really related to PAC that we wanted to tease out and have a group discussion about is the membership section, and just some more clarity around our composition in particular. We've been questioned a couple of times about the appointed seat or the designated seat for Explore Asheville. So we have added a little more clarity on what the purpose of that designation is. So just wanted the group to review that. Carly, I can't read that. Can you?
I also have in this next slide, but it's still the same slide. Hold on. Let me see if I can.
And then while she's doing that, the other piece that we haven't really clarified is we've said that our third designated seat is for a higher ed group, but we have not clarified how that's selected and how often. And so we just need to have a little discussion about that process and what it looks like to include in our bylaws.
Is that a little bit better?
Yes. So it receives taxpayer funding from Buncombe County with a focus on promoting and supporting Asheville's creative spirit through the Festivals and Cultural Events Support Fund, sponsorships, public art, and other community initiatives. You think that covers it? As far as why we have a designated seat for Explore Asheville on the Public Art and Culture Commission?
And the big goal there being, aligning efforts and making sure that we're aware of things that each organization is working on.
And we also wanted to put some criteria out there, so if there's people that are looking to be able to join, that we're clear on being able to send messages and have it detailed enough that it doesn't lock us down, but enough messaging that people can understand what our criteria are.
So that one seems pretty straightforward. We weren't expecting a huge amount of discussion. Yeah.
No, I think it's good. I just wanted to ask you a question about something you said about like how often they would change. What was
No,
that?
not for this one, for
Okay.
the higher education, because we have not listed a specific higher education institution. Right now, it's UNCA. And so that one is a little more complex than the other two, where it's clearly Arts AVL and clearly Explore Asheville. So that's what we need to discuss is how do we
Yeah.
select that higher education institution?
Yeah, that'll be the next slide. I have that open for discussion, so we can talk a little bit about the process that we want to go through, for the commission when that seat is up, that higher education, which will be in 6 years. So, not going anywhere anytime soon. But it's
not
good to
today.
have that conversation and talk about that process.
It's not like this is really pressing,
I'll
but
just
it's good to
put on the
get
record, my retirement may happen somewhere in between there.
We'll come to that when it
You're
comes.
not
Yeah.
allowed to retire, Brent.
No excuse.
Shirley says she's retired, no excuses.
But yeah, I think we're trying to think of a sentence or two that we can put next to each of these designated seats to talk about why we think those designated seats are important to the commission. And so this was a first draft of some wording that could go along with the Explore Asheville designated seat. And I mean, Arts AVL is pretty obvious, but if anybody wants to wordsmith that now or throw out some adjectives or thoughts, we can take notes on that as we're crafting the bylaws.
Could say we're the designated arts agency for Buncombe County.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I thought in the past, too, we did have other institutions represented. I think we had Warren Wilson
Can't add it on
represented at
here.
one point when Jay was on the commission.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
wasn't a designated seat, though. He
Oh,
just
it wasn't?
applied.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
So that was one of the 6.
You are the very first
Oh, Lord.
designated
Yeah, yeah.
seat for this.
Sorry to set the bar so low.
And then like the goals with the higher education institution, I think we all know what some of those big things are of why we want to collaborate and have a designated seat for that. But I think some thoughts on that from the commission would be good as we're crafting those 1 or 2 sentences that will go
I think it
down into the
also-
bylaws forever.
I think it also might be helpful to, I don't know if it would be Steph or you or both, and myself, initiate a meeting to see what the level, the level of interest changes, I'll just be frank about it, about, who's in administration, but specifically around when Steph was asking for someone, she wanted approval from someone that it would be me. And so we seek approval of my chair, but ideally we'd be seeking approval of the provost, but I'd actually rather seek approval of the chancellor. Now I'm on public record saying that, but, so that we have some dialogue with them about what the commission is, instead of just having it be a little less defined, yeah.
That's good.
So as part of the process,
Yeah.
Yeah.
bringing in the higher
That's
ups
good.
in that university.
Because there may be other eager people,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point and what we're looking for when we're talking about that process and what that looks like. So that's good.
So we can go back, take another pass at buttoning that piece down. And to Katie's point earlier, the part that makes it confusing, because you talk about Warren Wilson, but STEAM really has all the pieces and parts that we really use in public art, but yet we don't want to lock down on that, so we're looking to have language that clears a hurdle for us,
So
and we'll
the-
be consistent.
Yeah, the real purpose of the designated seats are those institutions where the city is working closely with them already on public art.
Yep,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I had a question about why 9, and then, and I sort of getting the answer to the why 3, the other 3, but at some point there was a discussion.
So we just
I don't know
changed
the
our
answer.
ordinance, and so Carly says we're not changing the ordinance again.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
cool.
we absolutely can, but I think we should go with more than just one-off changes like that, I don't know why 9.
Yeah.
I think it probably
It's the way
felt
it's
like
been since
enough,
it
but not
started.
too many. Is it?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I
yes.
think it has been 9 since it started, but are you saying that
No, I'm not-
advocating for more?
I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I prefer 13, but, 9's great, yeah.
More people to wrangle. Any other thoughts on why for these 3 designated seats?
But you said you're going to come back with
Yes.
some.
Yeah,
We just wanted to get your
Yeah, yeah.
input at this point.
Yeah.
We don't have to finalize anything today. We just wanted to hear your
Yeah, because that would be
thoughts.
really messy for these people to watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems like.
No,
no,
no, no,
it
we're
was,
not doing
it was
that.
only meant really to aim at that one piece, like Katie said, to say anything we should take into consideration, like the point you made about process of involvement with UNCA. We're looking to capture that and then go back.
Great.
And yeah, so you touched on that, like meeting with the chancellor or head of the program when, designating that seat or deciding on that seat. I think that it's also like, how does the commission want to decide, which higher ed arts program we're
Yeah, if
reaching
it's-
out to? And it could be as simple as a vote, we say, these are the ones that are in the running. What do you all think? And people could talk about it, and then we could make a vote, and that would be the institution that we pursue
Based
when
on
it becomes
who the
vacant.
city's been working with.
Yeah,
public art.
yeah, because it's going to change, like you said.
And when you say working with in public art, so I'm a little stumped.
Well, how many public art initiatives have you been part of?
A lot, yeah, a lot. Yeah, yeah.
In the
There it
last
is.
few years.
There it
So
is.
Yeah,
what
okay.
makes you think you would be the ideal choice?
Okay, but I'm not questioning that, but I'm questioning like the institution's involvement in collaboration, because that involvement and collaboration is specifically my interest, also my service to the institution
Well,
and the city, so,
Steam Studio in particular has been
Okay.
very involved in a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah, yeah.
public art
Yep,
projects.
yep.
yeah, okay, so yeah, all right.
So I guess that raises a question for me. Would we, when that seat comes up in 6 years, would the commission put out that call for, here's the vacancy, this is eligible for a higher institution with whatever the definition is, and then, so we're not saying, oh, Warren Wilson, you apply this time.
Well, that's the
right?
question we're asking right now.
Yeah, what
Exactly.
comes first? Maybe it
Do
is
we
a
do
call
it
like
an
that.
open application process, or do we, as the commission, select, the best ideal candidates and send them an invitation? That kind of
I
thing.
support, really,
But she supports something else.
open. I supported, like.
So you would say, like, reaching out to the eligible institutions, saying, we have a vacancy, your institution fulfills the requirements. Do you have an interest in having somebody represented on the commission? And then we get applicants that way and would then bring it to the commission to discuss and make their recommendations.
I mean,
or
that's what I would
nominations.
support. It seems more equitable.
Good to see that.
Well, so, just to be fair and not waste people's time, it's only going to be the ones that we're really going to consider are the ones that are actively working with the city in public art projects. And so doing a completely open call when we know they're not going to be really considered, I mean, that's just playing devil's advocate.
But to Pat's point, at least the opportunity is there. It's like,
But I mean, yeah,
can't apply if they don't.
But it's a lot of work
Wouldn't that be in the
administratively on both sides.
wouldn't that be in the description though, if you're saying, or you can say preferences, organizations that are collaborating with city on public art?
Yeah. The thing is,
Yeah.
we don't have universities knocking down the door to apply for this. And so it's more going to be us
Katie.
begging them to, be part of it. Just the reality that we're dealing with. And so it might look like an invitation more than just whoever.
Yeah, or is it an invitation or just, I don't know, awareness? Hey, this is
Mhm.
open.
Yeah, there could be some notification, like
Yeah.
email that goes out from the staff liaison or from the department head, or, if we want to make it look
Definitely.
stamped and official. and
Yeah,
all
and I
that,
think, I
but-
think part of it is getting input on having done work with us in the past. Because if we can stand on that and make that a criteria, much like we did with events planning, we can do that communication up front and not wait until there's a contest. And I think to Katie's point, there's a difference between doing a full RFP and just doing a broad notification.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't, the RFP seems excessive. That's not what you would do for any of the other seats.
You just want to make sure we're communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We're only talking about two institutions, three institutions, right? Buncombe County?
Yep.
mm-hmm.
Asheville, Buncombe County, AB Tech, UNCA, and
Warren Wilson,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Western has.
Oh, yeah. Well,
not-
Oh, they-
but that wouldn't.
Well, that's
yeah.
not,
Has
not
to be in
our
Buncombe
association.
County. I
Well, they
think,
have satellite.
oh, right.
And
Yeah,
so
there's
does
nothing-
Lenore Rhine, and there's multiple.
None of those have.
Well,
our
that might be
program.
something that there's that. That might be something we want to, just go ahead and list out in the bylaws. Like, these are the known institutions that would qualify
If
at
it's
this
only
point in
three,
time.
No big deal to send an invite
Yeah.
to all
Yep,
three.
yep.
And I think the other ones you could justify not sending it because the program there is not, it's not related, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was great discussion. Thank you.
Oh, it's very.
You good, Katie?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Do we have any slides from the other committees, or are we just going to ask for input?
I'm going to turn it over to Pat to talk about, I'm going to zoom out here. Yeah. No, yeah, it's just an update, and if Pat wants to talk about the Urban Trail Working Group, give an update on that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the same. So, and Charlie, please jump in. Charlie and I, we met only, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes. So, with two representatives from the Urban Trail Committee, Leslie, as well as Mary, who provided the tour last meeting, the downtown tour. So we got great insight on kind of the historical perspective of why things are the way they are with the trail, and why the urban trail is kind of its own entity separate from other public art pieces in the city, just by virtue of how it came to be. And so I learned a lot, and it was also interesting to understand how the trail was funded. It was funded by private donors, which I think we all knew, except that there was not a nonprofit that was raising those funds. It was those private donors donating to the city of Asheville, which I think is a model that we don't see at all anymore. So anyways, we had a lot to talk about and learn on our side, and so we determined a meeting schedule time that works for us, like a regular meeting schedule, and so that's our next step. That's as far as we got.
Yeah,
Do
it was a
you-
lot of great discussion.
Do you want to mention the upcoming proclamation at the city council meeting?
Would you talk about it?
Oh, I just was going to mention that city council will be doing you do, it's your committee. We'll do a proclamation about the urban trail at their meeting on the 27th. Special recognition of the urban trail.
Yes.
So Charlie, please share your input, if you have any.
I think you summarized it really well, actually. And yeah, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was actually what our meeting cadence was going to be. If we're
What our
gonna do
meeting
monthly,
cadence?
What the meeting cadence was going to be, if we're going to do monthly or bi-weekly, that kind of thing. I don't know if we resolved that yesterday.
I think I said monthly is what I remembered. But, so then we will work through it's not on the slide, the elements in the work plan and get an alignment together, so.
Yeah, and I think the three projects that were on the work plan for the Urban Trail Working Group were the Art Deco masterpiece. So seeing that through, making sure that we're providing input and engaging with the right people through that process, and then coming up with, policies and procedures and how the Urban Trail Committee works with PAC. Moving forward, all of that will help inform the policy and procedures working group as they're doing that overarching roadmap for PAC. And then thinking about marketing and education around the trail. So coming up with a plan for that and how we want to tackle that moving forward, and what the Urban Trail Committee's role will be in that arena moving forward. So a lot of projects, but I think doable, and it's a good group with a lot of knowledge on the history of the trail, since we're partnering with the Urban Trail Committee members, some new folks that are going to be able to, bring in their fresh perspective, and yeah, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, and I think it was so helpful. Like, I would love to have that conversation shared with everyone, just understanding like when that trail started, what the city was doing or not doing in terms of public art at that time and development. And so, I mean, it was unbelievable, the people that championed that. So it's good to have that perspective and context.
Yeah.
So make some time at a future meeting and go over that and bring everybody up to speed.
Yeah, maybe we can invite someone to share them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would be great. Okay, and then inventory and maintenance group. I know that we're going to set up a time to talk and move things forward. That's Shirley, Rachel, and Brent. So yeah, let's get something on the calendar and kind of talk through those work plan items and what's going to work for meeting and that sort of thing. But
Yep, we'll be in touch for sure.
okay, sounds good.
I sent you back a response this afternoon.
I saw that, yeah. That you said future.
Yeah.
We'll meet in the
But it
future,
was-
an hour before this meeting.
Yeah. But it was actually really good. I think it was really good for us to have done the urban trail introduction to get a sense of that, specifically as how it's going to relate, and specifically if it's going to appear on that inventory.
Yeah, I didn't have something on the agenda to talk about the tour. I know it was a little messy with the rain and, noise of the downtown, but, for folks who were able to go on that, did you all want to have any discussion or thoughts or talk about what you thought of the tour,
I
what
have
you
something
learned?
to say. I would say thanks to Leslie and Mary for doing it. And it becomes really clear when you have a history and understanding of the urban trail
Right.
that those people really had a lot to do, that were supporting the urban trail. They had a lot to do with actually what would be the revitalization and actually existence of the town that we live in now, given the things that they were. It was almost though, I have this vision that it was almost though there was a couple moments to where, the whole place was going to be mown down, a big section of it. And then, oh no, we're going to put up a piece of art here and you're going to pay attention to the art. So it even felt like that there was punctuations in the history that were, that it meant a lot more after I went through it, to connect it to people that I know are passed on that were doing that work. So
Yeah.
appreciated it.
Yeah, I think that,
It is really hard to hear in here. I realize that, and I apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same reaction of Brent did, going back to what Pat said. I think, to me, I walked away, it's important if we're going to be effective, we've got to understand the context of how this got here, what it looked like, and only partially understanding that is much different, and particularly with, to Brent's point, culturally and city-wise, how much culture was mowed down in a period of time, and really understanding that progression so that we can go forward.
All right. Anything else with working groups before we move on? Okay, I'm going to do a quick update on the Art Deco masterpiece. So as I had shared last time, the artist selection panel heard proposals from 4 semifinalists on June 18th. And a finalist was selected from that presentation and interview process, Rachel David with Red Metal. Several of you got to meet her on site at the S&W. Halfway through it was supposed to be halfway through our tour, but ended up being the end of our tour thanks to the rain. on that particular day. And at that meeting, PAC recommended to move forward with the artist and her concept, so that is great. And the artist selection panel, when looking at the original proposal from Rachel, had requested that, you know, a couple tweaks and changes be considered before moving forward. And one of those was a smaller scale that's more appropriate for the site. The artist had, I think it was about 9 feet was what she was looking at. We were like, you know, I think we need to bring that down some. And she said, okay, we'll play with the scale. She was very excited about collaborating and working with community and stakeholders. So I think it's going to be a really great process. And then also more transparency through the piece. So being able to see from one side through to the other, I think is very important with it being on a sidewalk and by an outdoor dining area. So that was feedback from the artist selection panel that we gave to the artist, and the artist worked on some different iterations, thinking about what this could look like, and accommodating that feedback, and came up with iterations 1A and B, which you see on the screen. And staff reviewed these iterations and provided final feedback and direction more from a technical standpoint, so thinking about accessibility and, you know, different standards we have on the public sidewalk. This is all going to be, just for material context, this is all going to be stainless steel that is welded by Rachel in their studio. They have a giant space. She does all this in-house. These are initial sketches, concept sketches. We gave this feedback to her, and we are going to move forward, or she is going to move forward with iteration 1A, where I think everybody really liked that more, you know, transparency and ability to see through those vertical rungs within the sculpture, but taking into consideration that iteration 1B really holds on to the form that you see on the tiles on the S&W a little bit better or more directly. So thinking of opportunities where more of that form can be introduced into the more liquid see-through version in 1A. So that was the feedback and the direction that we gave Rachel. We also talked a lot about the shape of the bench or the base itself, and thinking about how that could be more comfortable and conducive to sitting when you're facing the outdoor dining area and also on the other side of the sidewalk. So maybe it doesn't need to be as long, rounded, and how it fits against the building was something that we discussed as well. So in iteration 2, Rachel's really going to look at scale of that base, shape of that base, and do some more base plan detailed drawings that shows how it's going to fit into the space, so that we'll be able to react to that aspect of it and from an urban design and comfort sort of perspective. So
Yeah, because it was first proposed to be parallel, right, to the wall?
yes, yeah, it's kind of bookending the
Yeah.
outdoor dining area. Mm-hmm. And I think it still will, but the shape of it might
Yeah.
change some, so that people that are approaching from the street side or coming from the other side of the sidewalk, it's more inviting and comfortable to sit on.
And you keep mentioning that panel, and I think you told us at some point the panel, this 6 to 7 member focus group is the other crew that you just solicited?
So that's a new update in the community engagement process for this piece. We have reached out to artists in the community that work in a similar medium, so welding and metals. We've also reached out to people that were on the artist selection panel originally to keep that continuity from earlier in the process, and then have reached out to PAC members as well who weren't a part of the process earlier on that we would like to have input from. And so this will be a focus group where we'll sit down in person with the artist and look at that iteration 2 together and make sure that it's meeting the requirements from the call. So that criteria involves like the history and the storytelling, you know, interactivity, that sort of thing. So that's all the things that we're going to be asking questions about and making sure that the piece is meeting those criteria. And that meeting will happen in late August. And I've sent out invites, and we'll see. I've heard back from a few people, so.
You said you haven't heard back?
I've heard back from a few people, yeah. So any questions about the process or the piece, any comments about the piece, orientation of the piece, the way it's shaping up, any feedback? People like it, like the direction, like the way that the process is going? Any and all feedback is welcome.
I would just endorse Rachel. I know I didn't, don't have to do that, but I was taken again by her professionalism when we met with her. And it's always been that consistent. And so I was really pleased that it was chosen. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like she was really listening and wanted to do it right, wanted to meet the needs of what we were looking at, and still coming with a real strong creative background as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she definitely has a unique style and aesthetic, and I love that she's carrying that into this piece while also interpreting the S&W.
Well, I also like that she connected to the Art Deco, with
Mhm.
and she already connects to that in her work, and she has a really deep understanding of that time period of making.
Okay, great. Well, more to come on that, more updates, and I believe I'm thinking that the September meeting will have 2A, we'll have had the focus group review of iteration 2, not 2A, 2, and we'll have a more firm final design at that point, or next steps for that final design, so that'll be a good checkpoint for the artist to come and present to you all, so I'm thinking that'll be on the agenda in September. Okay, our favorite part of the meeting, updates on creative projects, events, things that are going on.
Well, I have a ton of grants I can share about. Arts ABL currently has 2 grants that are open. The Artist Support Grant, which supports artists, emerging and established artists with taking the next step in their career. And then our Grassroots Arts Program Grant for nonprofits just opened today. So that's both program and operating support for nonprofit arts organizations. And then opening early next month, we have our event support grant, which we administer on behalf of the city of Asheville. And that's for permitted nonprofit arts events in the city's public spaces, outdoor public spaces. See, I wasn't lying. I had a bunch of grants.
No, that's exciting.
I can also share on behalf of the YMI Cultural Center. I think everyone knows it's been closed for renovation for almost 2 years now, and so there will be a grand reopening kind of ribbon cutting ceremony on September 26th. That's the day before the Goombay Festival starts at the building mid-morning. So as those details come to light, I'll share that with the group.
Great.
What day do you think?
September 26th, 9:30 a.m., 10 a.m., I believe.
I've already shared this, but next month, Punch Bucket Lit is putting on our inaugural literary festival, September 20th and 21st, and it's going to be in the Wortham Performing Arts Center, Performing Arts, wait, what is it? I'm getting it backwards now, but in the Wortham, we all know what that is, and Renaissance Hotel, and we're really excited, and a little nervous, but I think it's going to be good.
Awesome.
I was going to say, don't you have something else to tell us, Rachel? Come on. It feels pretty official to me, yeah. Rachel has a book launch next Tuesday night for her book
Awesome.
entitled The End of Tennessee, right? A memoir. And it's at Malaprops at 7 o'clock. See? She could have done it.
Sorry. I wasn't going to say because it's not Punch Bucket or city related, but it's just my work, and it's at Revolve, and Malaprops is co-sponsoring. They'll be there selling books,
at
but it's at
Revolve.
Revolve Mercantile on Haywood Road.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah, that's huge.
I just want to share through the Arts Council Grassroots Grant. We provide professional artists to work with low-income students who cannot afford to pay for services through Delta House and through our 21st Century Community Learning Center grant. Delta House received a state Outstanding Strategy Award and is going to go for national competition in Washington, D.C. And the whole work was intergenerational learning. I did send a link out, how professional artists come in and work with the students, and how we integrate academics with the arts. And I was surprised, and they feel like we might win at national competition. It was well, through our program, and then a lady from, I think, Education NC, it's an online newspaper, and she spent 2 days in Asheville in April with us, and we got it over all the 21st century programs. And our band perform in the community and give the kids a chance to participate. So we will be trying that grassroots grant, although I don't have time to get the other two. But this is public art because you give them a chance to perform in the community. You give them a sense of pride, and as well as learning skills. And although it might not be stationary, but this is performing, and it's changing the lives of students and adults in the community. So thank you, thank you. Because of your support, we were able to do that through the program. Okay.
Yeah, wonderful news.
Yeah, and I think, going back to the point you made, Rachel, I mean, we're the Public Arts and Cultural Commission, so the things that you all are doing are affecting culture as well, so it's just important that we're staying in touch. Everybody in here is doing work in the community, so kind of keeping each other up to speed is what we want to be able to do here. So any other thing I'd say for any events that you all have coming up, Carly had an idea that I think was good before the meetings. She, if you could send in, if you have any links to these events, because sometimes it's tough here to be able to catch it, but if you could have it in one place, you could just hit that link, find out, put it on your calendar. I think it'll allow us to stay more in touch with what everybody's doing here. So
Yeah, I can add that information to the agenda so that it'll be there, for people to look at on the agenda in physical form. And then I would like to figure out a way to either link to, partner Arts AVL calendars or update that calendar, or work with the city to have something that, this is a little more visual and out in front for people to latch onto. So that's something we're going to work on behind the scenes.
that's good. Thank you. So now we're going to open up for public comment. Anybody have any? Yes, sir.
Please introduce yourself and tell us.
Into this, all right. Hey, I'm Christopher. I've been in West Asheville since 2019, and I'm on the board of Story Parlor in West Asheville. And my partner and I run a educational YouTube channel called Magnify out of Asheville. And I just wanted to share that one of the works on the Urban Trail has received some major international attention this past month. At the beginning of July, we decided to make a fictional micronation called Ironland at the Flatiron statue. I can pass that around. At the Flatiron statue, as kind of a fun way to talk about different civics events, like civics topics like voting, different types of democracy, how municipal government works. And it's been a pretty big hit on TikTok and YouTube. About 200,000 people have registered as citizens. I wanted to check if we had anybody with us. Any citizens? All right, we've got some citizens with us today. And about 40 million unique people have watched these videos in the last month and gotten to hear about Asheville. We posted about Explore Asheville just yesterday, and they've gotten about 25,000 more subscribers in the last 24 hours. So we're excited to work with them. I just wanted to come and ask about who in the city might be the wealth of knowledge about the urban trail and the history and how these statues got here. I think it's a rare chance that there's like a very large audience that's interested in the background of where these came from and how it's played into the development of the city. But mostly I just wanted to share the excitement that so many people have gotten to see around the world, a statue, a piece of art that the city decided to invest in 25 years ago. So it was great to hear the urban.
That's one of the founding members right there.
Oh, no way.
She's going to answer all your
We're
questions.
in urban trail royalty, huh?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Christopher. Absolutely. And your name is?
I'm Leslie.
Leslie. Nice to meet you. I didn't know.
I really want to hear and see what this is about. So.
She started, she's the top of the
Yeah,
pyramid for that.
it's very timely.
I really appreciate you coming, specifically with your excited energy. But I did have this intrepidation, right? I was like, why did we get this attention? But that's great.
I would also just like to add, as a citizen who's on the streets of Asheville, I've already encountered several, at least a dozen or more, tourists who came here and specifically were wanting to see the iron from your videos.
Wow.
Amazing. That's great. I'm so glad you came and brought this to our attention.
I would
Thank you
also
for
ask you
sharing
if you've
that.
got any videos or anything, clips that you could send us so we can pass it around, that'd be
Absolutely.
great.
Where would be a good spot to send that to?
I can give you my email.
Oh,
when we're
great.
done.
Great. Yeah, I would love to get that from you. And we're going over to explore Asheville, I think, on Monday. So it'll be fun to see where it could go.
Beautiful. Thank you for your work.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing it with us.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Other comments? Anything else anybody's got? I think we're good. Love seeing the energy.
You wanna-
So I officially call this meeting to adjournment. Thank you.